reality is boring. You and your fantasies belong on Avatar. If you want what you imagine, today's the day to have a talk. To Avatar on Avatar.
Hello everyone, welcome to Eva Talk, and I'm your host Eva. Today we have a very special guest joining us. Someone whose journey beautifully blends culture, language, and the future of technology. Our guest Natalie is originally from Greece and now based in the UK, and she has turned her lifelong passion for languages into a powerful career path. From mastering multiple languages to helping companies launch apps for global audiences, her work is all about connecting people through words. She's a communicator, a bridge builder between cultures, and a true believer in the potential of decentralized futures. Please welcome to the podcast the talented, multilingual, and unstoppable Natalie. Hi, Natalie, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's very lovely to be here. Thank you very much for this presentation.
uh, I'm honored too to have you on the board as well. Natalie, so I have so many questions in my mind to ask from you. I got DMs from the public and they want to know much about you. So, if we start, you're originally from Greece, right? And you're living in the UK. How has this multicultural journey shaped the way you see language, communication, and community?
Well, I've started from very young thinking about languages and multiculturalism. I grew up in a house where French was spoken. My mom is a French speaker.
All right.
And from a very young age, my very first friend was an American girl at the age of 6. Obviously, I was exposed to different languages and I was exposed to different cultures. I grew up in a house where we had maps and books in different languages, and I knew from a
Oh, wow.
young age that I was going to do something that has to do with languages and traveling. And then
Ah,
this obviously led many years later to a career in translation where I can blend languages and writing. And then I became a travel writer as well. And this is why I named my company Worlds of Worlds, because I thought that that's the best way to blend my two biggest loves, which are languages and traveling.
all right. So, and how did that passion guide you, your career path?
Well, my background is in languages. So I've studied 8 languages. I speak 5, and my degree is in translation studies
Uh-huh.
and forensic linguistics. And so naturally, I started floating towards those kind of opportunities. I started working with companies that wanted to launch their products to the Greek market.
Oh,
And that's as far as what the translation is about. And I became a travel writer writing for magazines. And so I got into journalism as well. And then studied writing for educational companies, writing about language learning.
okay.
So yeah, I've been doing that for 14 years now.
Oh, wow.
So
That's huge.
yeah.
So, what is your personal favorite language in all of them?
That's not a very easy question to answer. Obviously, I live in the UK, so English has become basically my first language here.
Uh-huh. All right.
I find Greek is a bit of an exotic language because I can write in a different alphabet.
Ah, yeah.
So that already kind of makes me feel special among all my friends here in the UK who cannot read Greek. French has a special kind of place in my heart because I grew up listening to it from a young age because my mom is a French speaker.
Ah,
I like Italian and Spanish as well. So I haven't actually
oh my God.
given you an answer. I haven't given you an answer. I know that. uh, I
Yeah,
think
maybe for that.
every language has something. So difficult to pick.
All right, all right, got you. Many people move from Web 2 to Web 3 for different reasons. What personally pulled you into the Web 3 world, and what was that transition like for you?
Well, I wanted to. Obviously, I've talked to you about my biggest passions,
Yeah.
but I've also wanted to do something that to me represents the future. So while translation and writing are amazing professions and I love them, they've been around for thousands of years.
Oh,
So I said I want to do something that's a bit more, avant-garde, a bit more looking into the future. And I consider Web3 to be the future of the internet,
okay.
DeFi to be the future of finance. So I said I'm going to start looking into that. And I already knew a contact of mine that had got into it, and she started with SheFi, and this is why I got into SheFi as well. This was my first point of entry into Web3, and basically it evolved from there. And
Ah, all right. Okay. So you work closely with the Greek market and help companies launch apps in different languages. What's something people often misunderstood about localization and cultural translation?
I have to say that they misunderstand a lot of things. They think, first of all, it's a very difficult thing to get right. Right?
Ah,
So a lot of people think that you just transpose words for words. Oh, I just take a word and I translate to Greek, and then you take this and translate into Greek. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And we see that a lot, especially the last 2 years, where people have studied, clients have started using ChatGPT, AI to translate. And we see all those hilarious fault mistakes that they make that make us professionals laugh about them. At the same time, we say, okay, carry on making those mistakes. That means we still have a job. And because it's really not easy, especially with apps that you mentioned. One problem is, if I can call it problem, is Greek is a quite wordy language. So you have to be very careful when you translate apps into the Greek market, because if you need to make the right changes to be able to make sure that the user interface works in the Greek app. If you write something which is too big, for example, you can end up breaking the app. That's a problem with user experience afterwards. It can get very technical and it can get very complicated, which is why I think professionals are still needed, and AI is still not in a position to do a good job.
yeah, you're right. So how are you planning to bring your real life work experience to Decentraland?
Well, Decentraland, we haven't gone into this yet. I mentioned SheFi before.
Yeah,
SheFi was basically my first point of entry into Web3. And through SheFi, I started getting to know different communities and different protocols and products and projects, because they work with lots of sponsors. So I started with season 13, and I liked it so much that I did season 14. And on season 14, Decentraland was a
yeah.
sponsor. And
Oh,
this is how I got to know Decentraland, and I started looking into it. And I love the idea of the metaverse. I love the idea that you can talk to other people through an avatar, which you can
yeah,
customize. You can be very creative. You can do a lot of things. There are lots of communities over there. And I've recently started writing a blog about the different communities of Decentraland. So most people know me as a writer, because that's what I do. I'm a journalist and a writer,
yeah.
and as well as a translator. And I now call myself the metaverse journalist through the blog that I started on Medium.
Oh man, you're
Uh,
doing amazing job.
but it is, as you said, possible to bring your in real life experience to Decentraland. A lot of people have done that already, and I've written about that in my blog. There are musicians, there's a yoga instructor, and there's also a community called Helvetia, and they help people bring their in life experience to the metaverse. And so, one thing I was thinking of doing to bring my in real life experience and basically kind of promote more my writing through Decentraland is as you know, on the Creator Hub, which is what us creators use to build scenes on Decentraland, there is a template there, the gallery template. A lot of people use it to a lot of artists use it, and photographers use it to showcase their paintings or to showcase their photographs. I'm thinking of using it to publish my
Oh,
articles. So instead
oh,
of putting
great.
photographs there, or instead of putting, paintings, I'm gonna upload my articles. So this is something I haven't done yet, but it's something I'm thinking of doing, and then of inviting people to have a look, and that kind of promotes my work, but through the metaverse, which I think is quite exciting, and I don't know many people who have done that.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, Nati, thank you so much. I can't stop myself talking with you, but unfortunately, there will be a little break in between us. So let's meet after a very short break. Stay tuned.
At Meta Rivers, we're not just building a virtual world, we're celebrating the real, the authentic, the talented souls who show up with passion, creativity, and honesty. People like you. Artists, storytellers, dreamers, explorers, connecting beyond the screen and bringing life to the metaverse. If that's you, join us on Avatalk, our podcast where we share stories from the people behind the avatars. Whether you're creating, performing, or simply vibing in the virtual world, your voice matters. Want to be featured? Find us on Discord, social media, or visit our website. Links are in the description. Meta Rivers, real connections, virtual space, infinite possibilities.
Reality is boring. You and your fantasies belong on Avatar. If you want what you imagine, today's the day to have a talk. To Avatar on Avatar.
Welcome back after a short break. So, yes, we have our multi talented Natalie with us. Natalie, so you have mentioned earlier that Shifai program being your gateway to the decentralization. How did Shifai shape your Web3 journey and what doors did it open for you?
Well, I still consider myself to be quite new to the space. So I got into Web3 maybe about 8 months ago, which given how people have been in Web3 for 10 years, and I know a lot of people who started at least around 2020, 21.
Oh,
I'm still quite new, I would say. But ever since from the first time I joined Web3, everybody has been talking about community. Oh, communities are so important in Web3. Communities, you have to join communities. This is something you don't really see in other. You don't see that in Web2. Uh,
oh,
Web3 is all about communities. So for me, it was very important not only to learn about Web3, which is what obviously CFI did, but also to find a community to join. And
okay.
Shifai has done
Right.
both.
And why these communities are, necessary in Web3? Can you just explain?
Well, Shifai has done both. They have given me the knowledge that I need to be able to understand Web3 and
Okay.
navigate Web3, but also they are the biggest community of women in Web3, and
Oh,
they've got over 12,000 members in like 100 countries around the world. So, for example, about a month ago, I was in London because there was a big Web3 event there, and I was able to meet Shifai members. Pretty much everywhere you go in the world, you have Shifai members. Of course, right now, everybody's probably in Buenos Aires. This is where Shifai are doing their next summit. But through
right.
Shifai, I got to know other communities as well. So I got to know Sui, and Sui is another blockchain, is a different blockchain. But they were collaborating with Shifai for a workshop, and I got to know them. So basically, you start from somewhere, and it just branches out, and you meet more people, and you meet more communities. And this is very important in Web3 because this is how people make contacts and eventually find jobs through meeting people.
Okay.
And definitely this is, I would say that this is for me has been critical, and being on X as well. X is a big community for Web3 creators.
Yeah, it is.
So
Um,
definitely that, otherwise I don't think I would have made much progress, to be honest, if it wasn't for communities.
all right. So, with your deep language background, how do you see the role of storytelling and communication evolving in decentralized future?
Well, like I always say, if everything is in English, it's not decentralized enough, right?
Ah,
English, I consider English to be, it is a very centralized language.
yeah, it is.
Everything comes from the United States. And obviously, with people speaking English as their first foreign language, everything is in English. So this presents a problem of how do we become more global, which is what decentralization is, right? Decentralization is, to speak technically, it's nodes, all are basically powering this new internet, nodes which are dispersed all over the globe. And this is in a way what I'm trying to do with language is when I say we cannot have everything in English.
Yeah.
Protocols cannot just create, build something and leave it in English. Because what about the rest of the world that doesn't speak English, or that they do speak English but they don't speak enough English? We all know how complicated DeFi can be, right? Trying
Yeah,
to
exactly.
swap, send currency, and make sure you are on the correct network. How are you going to do that if you don't provide the instructions people want to read into their language? Which is
You're right.
why I think languages play an important role, and there should be more used and deployed in protocols.
So yeah, that is my next question. What has been the most surprising cultural or linguistic challenge you've come across while working with global Web3 communities?
Well, pretty much what I've said just now.
Yeah.
Because, for example, with Shify, like I said, they have over 12,000 people, over 30,000 members from 100 countries. But I can see all the instructions, everything, all the lessons, which are really good, by the way, very amazing. They're all in English, though. And I
All
can
right.
see people asking questions, and it's sometimes, or people falling behind, or people not being able to do the quests. And I always wonder, what is the problem here exactly? Is it that they don't understand, they're not technical enough and they don't understand the instructions, or is it that their English might not be good enough to understand technical instructions? And
Mm,
in DeFi and Web3, you need to feel confident. You need to feel like you understand what's going on, because we're talking about money here, right? It's a
yeah.
wallet. Things can happen. You can get scammed. You might click something because you didn't understand what the message said, and you might end up with a drained wallet, losing all your
Mhm.
funds. It's very important to be able to feel confident. And one way you can do that is by speaking to people into their own language. And I think that's a one challenge that we need to find a solution to.
All right. So you help products grow across different languages. So from your perspective, which markets are the most exciting right now in the three and why?
In Web3, well, if you look around the world, I would say Latin America,
Yeah.
especially Brazil and Argentina. They are adopting Web3 quite well. And DevCom right now is in Argentina, right? In Buenos Aires. I don't think this is completely random. I mean, they have a
Yeah.
huge community there, which is why the DevCom is happening there. I've seen Sub-Saharan Africa as well,
Yeah.
especially Western Africa, countries like Nigeria, for example. They're very, very active in the Web3 world. And then obviously you go to India. You have India, which is a huge country,
Yeah.
and obviously Southeast Asia and East Asia as well, Northeast Asia as well, Korea, Japan.
Yeah.
So definitely that would be my bet when it comes to exciting Web3 markets.
All right. Lastly, for anyone listening who loves languages but think tech over three isn't for them, what would your personal message or advice be?
Well, I always believe that we can make this space very interesting if we all come into with our own different passions and skills. It's very easy to think, and certainly that was what I thought when I started with Web3, that you have to be a developer. Web3 is just developers. You have to know code. You have to write code. If you don't, you're not the developer, you don't have any place in Web3. That's what I thought originally. But now, 8 months into my journey, I see all these challenges that we discussed previously, and I see that there is space for people with languages, and there is space with people passionate about storytelling. Storytelling, in my opinion, is the best way you can find the best way to connect with people. People connect with stories, they don't connect with code. Code is the underline, just comes under the product, right? It's like
Yeah.
a underline. If you want to sell, if you want to make people follow you, you do that through stories. You do that through making people feel something. Stories do that. Code doesn't do that. Code
Yeah.
solves other problems. If you want to have loyal fans, you do that through storytelling.
Exactly. Wow, that's very amazing. That gave me goosebumps as well. Well, Natalie, thank you so much. Me and my viewers have equally enjoyed your presence with us, and we would love to have more podcasts with you in the future. So, viewers, hit like and subscribe button and comment us your thoughts on today's podcast. Have a very good day ahead. Thank you so much, Natalie, for sparing your precious time for us.
Thank you. And before I end, I said if anyone wants to find me, I'm on X. My handle is at worlds underscore of underscore words. And you can also find me under Natalie Leka on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Natalie. That would be quite helpful for your followers to follow you. Thank you. You're an amazing person, I must say.
Thank you.
Thank you.